Liverpool can defeat Manchester City in their title-chasing match. A collision of giants. Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp have rekindled their feud. Pep has consistently outperformed Klopp in the title race. This time, however, things are different. Historically, Liverpool has had to go to the Etihad Stadium during title contests, where Manchester City has gained the momentum following the encounter by beating Liverpool. Leroy Sané's dagger comes to mind when he scored late on to beat Liverpool 2-1. This time, however, things are definitely different. I saw Arsenal fans argue that Liverpool is in a similar position to them in last year's title fight, being driven by emotion and winning enough games to be in and around. But Liverpool will fall off, is what they say. But that's what Liverpool thrive off. They want the passion. They want the fans to feel the emotion. The Liverpool team, the fans, the coach, they all thrive on raw emotion and intensity. It brings out the best in the team. Therefore, Liverpool is in a strong position. In this video, let's look at how Liverpool can and will beat Manchester City at Anfield. But before we get started, please comment down below who you think is going to win the encounter and drop your predictions. And don't forget to subscribe. First, let us start with the team sheets. Who and how should Liverpool line up against this well-oiled, pardon the pun, Manchester City team? Kelleher, who has been outstanding in recent games, will be put to the test in goal, especially with Alisson being out for the foreseeable future. At right back, we are missing the very influential Trent Alexander-Arnold, but this also means we get to see the more well-balanced fullback in Conor Bradley be the right back, especially with Jeremy Doku being on his side. The centre backs are obvious: Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk, the absolute monumental monsters at the back. But who should start at left back? This is a huge debate right now. Should it be Joe Gomez, who's better defensively, or should it be Robertson, who's better offensive? Later on in this video I'll explain why, so stick around. Moving on to the midfield, the double pivot of dreams will have their biggest test yet. Wataru Endo and Alexis McAllister have been absolutely brilliant playing together, but it's a different ball game when you're up against Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. On top of that, the third midfielder, thankfully he's going to be fit, Dominic Szoboszlai, because we rarely need his legs in terms of the defensive point of view. He needs to cover that ground, and where they have Rodri, who's a ground eater, we don't have that unless Dominic Szoboszlai plays. The attack currently has a big question mark. Can Mohamed Salah be fit for the game? Will the league's best player be ready to go? And will Klopp risk his fitness for as many minutes as possible as he can get from Mohamed Salah? I believe personally Mohamed Salah will push himself to start this game, so I'm going with Mohamed Salah at right wing. And if he's not fit, then I would go with Harvey Elliott over Cody Gakpo. Up front and left wing is quite obvious: Darwin Nunez and Luis Diaz, the South American beasts. So how can Liverpool use this lineup to break down Manchester City? Let's look into it. Let's start by looking into the recent games that Manchester City had against Chelsea and Bournemouth as big examples, because I would use the Manchester United game, but Manchester United are awful and they could not accomplish anything against Manchester City, and all that happened was that they got absolutely dominated eventually. However, these two clubs, Bournemouth and Chelsea, had some success against City in two facets of the game: a strong press and counter-attacking play. Who does that sound like? Which team has excelled at both under their manager? Of course, it's Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. That's the best type of counter-press and best type of counter-attacking football you will ever see. My two strategies for defeating Manchester City were to either deploy a low block and then look to counter-attack Manchester City, because Jurgen Klopp can definitely coach a mean low block when he wants to. But because it's at Anfield, because it's Liverpool, and because it's a title race on the line, Liverpool have a quality lineup on the pitch. We need to take the game to them and press them hard. If you watch Chelsea's first half against Manchester City, you'll notice that they rarely used rapid transitions to just completely outtake that Manchester City defense. And Raheem Sterling and Nicholas Jackson were having absolute field days up front. Raheem Sterling got his goal, he beat Walker on the inside and finished it off, but Nicholas Jackson could have easily made it 2-0, and that game finishes very differently to what it did. Ruben Diaz is no longer that strong on his 1v1 duels as he was last season. John Stones has been in and out of the side. Nathan Ake is probably the best defensive player that they actually have at the back line, and Rodri is being left as a single pivot at times, which is becoming very deadly for Manchester City on the counter-attack. The game against United even demonstrated this when Onana just simply cleared the ball up. Bruno Fernandes beat Ruben Diaz to the ball. He passed it back to Rashford, who completely whacked it into the top corner. So how can Liverpool apply these cases into their own football play for the game on Sunday? Liverpool now have Szoboszlai back, and he and McAllister, together with Konate and Van Dijk will be crucial in this game. The goal is to get the ball to one side, overload that one side, make sure the other player on the other side is 1v1 against his marker. Let's say, for example, we overload the Mohamed Salah side and Luis Diaz is 1v1 against Kyle Walker. The main thing here is now we need to switch it to the other side as quickly as possible. I saw Casemiro try to do this against Manchester City quite a bit and it worked. So if we get the ball to Alexis McAllister down that right half space or Dominic Szoboszlai and he switches it to Luis Diaz, we have a 1-on-1 against Kyle Walker. And Luis Diaz is the type of winger that Kyle Walker actually doesn't like playing because he doesn't try and take you with pace. He's going to take you with skill. And that's simply how Raheem Sterling took Kyle Walker out, by cutting inside and hitting it into the top corner. The essential aspect of this type of gameplay though will be how calm the midfield maintains under pressure. We have Endo and McAllister, which is why I'm really confident that we will be able to rise to the occasion. Those two midfielders have shown on numerous occasions now this season that they can handle the pressure. Furthermore, Darwin Nunez will be a living nightmare for Ruben Diaz to think about. Every single 50-50, every single ball over the top that Nunez chases, Ruben Diaz is going to have a very rough game. Nunez allows the long ball to reach him, and more often than not, he gets his winger, he gets his midfielder, whether that's Luis Diaz, Mohamed Salah, Alexis McAllister. He brings them into the game and then sprints off again behind you. This will be another essential move in continuously pressing and putting pressure on Manchester City. The key thing is, like, Manchester City are a team full of experience, but if you can get into their heads really early, you can get them by the end of the game if you focus and you're a top team, which Liverpool definitely are. Kelleher will of course be crucial in this as well, because there's going to be times where Manchester City will take us on and we're going to need our goalkeeper to make his saves, and his kicking, which is usually excellent, will be very important in getting Darwin Nunez involved into the game. I feel like the first 10 minutes could be critical in determining the game's dynamic. Now let us discuss Liverpool's defensive structure, because it's all fun and games talking about how Liverpool attack, but Manchester City are no joke of a team. Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva, so many game changers. So Liverpool's defense will have to be at their best, and Liverpool are without Trent Alexander-Arnold, who will be crucial going forward, but he could have been a liability defensively against Doku. Now that we have Conor Bradley there and he's fit and ready to play, it could be a blessing in disguise from a defensive standpoint. Liverpool's centre-backs are one of the very few in Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk who can actually compete with Haaland one-on-one, whether that's a physical duel for the ball, whether that's in the air, or whether that's pace for pace. Van Dijk and Konate both love the challenge, which gives Liverpool a foundation to build upon, since they don't need to be drawn towards Haaland. If you see a lot of times Manchester City score is when a cross comes in, there's about 3 or 4 players on Haaland alone. That allows the other players to be free in the box, whereas Liverpool can really concentrate on focusing on man marking their players so that Van Dijk or Konate can handle Haaland on their own. Furthermore, the mobility and interchange between Foden and De Bruyne is simply incredible right now. There's times where you're going to see Kevin De Bruyne as the RCM, then Phil Foden will come inside and De Bruyne will go outside. So how can Liverpool cope with this? Well, the main point is going to be Wataru Endo. He almost plays as a third centre back at times, and him following Foden or Kevin De Bruyne into the box, into the centre of the pitch, will be so crucial, because Phil Foden has found many times before against Liverpool where he's found spaces in the pockets and he's ended up scoring, and we need to stop that from occurring. Jurgen Klopp's crucial move here is though whether he starts Joe Gomez or Andrew Robertson. And do not get me wrong, Liverpool fans, I absolutely love Andrew Robertson as a left back, but you must be wondering why I'm thinking about this question. Robertson is an old school left back blasting down the wing. He wants to go forward, he wants to wreak havoc, he wants to be with Luis Diaz. He doesn't really bother that much about his defensive game, and most of his defensive liabilities are taken out by the fact he has Virgil van Dijk next to him. But the one thing we cannot afford in this game is Andrew Robertson going for a press unnecessarily, opening up that right hand channel for De Bruyne or Phil Foden, because unfortunately against a team like Manchester City, it only takes one chance for Kevin De Bruyne to go in behind, cross the ball, and Liverpool concede, and that's a big problem. So I'm going with Joe Gomez at left back because I trust him. I saw him against Bukayo Saka when he came on. He was absolutely brilliant on that left hand side, and he did not allow Saka any time to come inside and cause trouble, and we need him to do the same against Phil Foden or Kevin De Bruyne. He needs to be onto his man. And the other thing with Joe Gomez that's a great option is he can invert and make the centre stronger, because he has the quality to open his body up. He has the quality to find the middle passes, the winger. So as much as we're going to lose that option down the line with Robertson, I think we can afford it with Joe Gomez being on the pitch. Please share your thoughts down below on whether you would start Andy Robertson or Joe Gomez. There are numerous critical battles in this game which could decide which team wins. So let's take a look at 3 that I believe could really swing the game. First up is Mohamed Salah, who I assume will face Nathan Ake down that left hand side. You might be surprised to learn that Ake has actually been really good against Mohamed Salah in recent games, and he's a very good defensive player who has really stepped up for Manchester City recently. He has also been Manchester City's most finest defender in terms of real defense. Salah has been sidelined for some time, but he's expected to return to training and be ready for the game. The finest players in the world are those who, even though they're out for a while, when they come back, they are ready to go straight back into the lineup. And that's exactly what Mohamed Salah. He will be straight back into his peak. And this injury might actually coincide perfectly with a stunning run from Mohamed Salah into the title race. In previous years, we've used Mohamed Salah in every single game, every single 90 minutes he plays. So by the end of the season, he was tired and he couldn't continue that form that he had at the start of the season. This is the first time Mo Salah has been out for an extended amount of time. Liverpool have been able to afford it. Liverpool are still in the title race and he's coming back in the business end of the season. So I'm quite excited to see how he does. The second crucial duo of the game will be Rodri and Dominic Szoboszlai. You might be wondering what they have in common. One's an attacking midfielder, one's a defensive midfielder. Although you wouldn't be wrong to mistake Rodri as an attacking midfielder these days. They each cover the ground for their respective teams. Rodri is more than just a DM. He's in centre mid. He's in cam. He is winning the ball at an incredible rate for Manchester City. And similarly on the other side for Liverpool, when Dominic Szoboszlai is on the pitch, he is the one who's initiating the press. He is the one who's so close to his man. He's always winning the ball back. And I saw against Chelsea, Manchester City struggled in the first half, mainly because Conor Gallagher was man marking Rodri. He was all over him, and Conor Gallagher is an absolute dog when it comes to chasing a man. Rodri was uninvolved for about 60 minutes. Now imagine if Liverpool give that same role to Dominic Szoboszlai, who's of course more technical than Conor Gallagher. So even when he does win the ball back, he can do something with the ball. And he can also cover the right back when Conor Bradley wants to push up. So I feel like in terms of balance, Dominic Szoboszlai being on the pitch will be hugely beneficial towards Liverpool. And the third and final battle, which I feel like will have a huge influence on this game, is Nunez versus Ruben Diaz and Haaland versus Van Dijk. They're both on different sides of the pitch, but these are the final clashes which will really decide the game. Nunez is the last person Ruben Diaz wants to play against. So chaotic, and Diaz cannot handle that this season. When the ball is bouncing in the air, when the odds are 50-50, Nunez is clearly the more likely to win that battle, which will present huge problems for Manchester City at the back, especially if Nunez has his shooting boots on. And on the other side, Haaland's worst enemy in terms of a defensive centre-back is Virgil van Dijk. Haaland has the strength, he has the speed, but so does Virgil van Dijk. So Manchester City will find it a bit more of a struggle because they've used that long pass from Ederson finding Haaland, and he just drops it down for De Bruyne and goes again in the centre of the pitch. But he'll find it a little bit more difficult against the Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. So I'm really interested to see if Haaland can take them two on and bring De Bruyne, bring Phil Foden into the game, especially at Anfield. Overall, I feel this Liverpool team will succeed against Manchester City, although it will not be easy. However, it will be a memorable triumph that will be cherished at Liverpool for years if they can win. If they can win this game, that's a huge statement for them in the title race, and it puts them in a good position with good momentum, with players coming back to really go and fight for that title with the final 12 or 13 games or whatever it is. And I predict a Liverpool victory, a 4-2 victory against Manchester City, putting them in the prime position to win the title race. I hope you enjoyed my preview. Please leave your predictions for the game down below and subscribe for more. Peace.